Here we have the DeWalt DHS780 54v XR FlexVolt Mitre Saw. This is a cordless saw powered by 2 XR FlexVolt batteries. It has a huge cut capacity with a maximum 303mm by 110mm and has the ability to make up to 244 cuts in 90mm by 45mm softwood on one charge. This saw can be set to cut mitres up to 60 degrees and bevel up to 49 degrees. The detent plate allows for quick setting of commonly used mitre angles, and the XPS cross-cut positioning system accurately shows the user the position of the blade and where the cut will be made on the material for increased accuracy on every cut. This saw is airlock compatible for use with any DeWalt airlock dust extractor. I'll now take you through how to set up and use the DHS780 Mitre Saw. So first things first, we've got our 2 XR FlexVolt batteries on the back of the saw. I've connected up my extractor using our airlock connection, and we're now going to cut a piece of skirting. So this is our piece of skirting ready to be cut. We want to do a 45-degree mitre on one of the ends of the skirting. So this would be going into a corner. You've got a detent plate at the bottom of the saw here, and we need to set this to 45 degrees. To do that, you've got a little button that you press down, and then you swing the saw around all the way to 45. Because it's a preset, commonly used angle, the saw will automatically lock at 45, so you don't need to do anything else. However, if you wanted to cut a different angle, say 40 degrees, which isn't such a commonly used angle, you would need to lock the saw into place. So we'll just bring that round to 40, and in order to cut the angle at 40 degrees, you'd just press the lever down at the front and the saw would be locked, ready to make a 40-degree cut. In this case though, we'll bring it back to 45, because that's the angle that we'll be cutting. Position the skirting where you want the cut to be made, and then ensure that the skirting is pushed against the fence at the back. Just making sure that the skirting is well supported as well. And then at the top you've got your trigger and your lever. So you push the lever down and pull the trigger, the saw will start up, and as you push the blade towards the material, the guard will automatically lift, enabling you to make the cut. So I'm now going to make this cut. I will turn my extractor on. And you can see there that we've made a 45-degree cut on our skirting. Of course, you wouldn't just be using this saw for skirting. We've talked about the large cut capacity up to 305mm. So we can use this for materials such as this rafter or joist materials. This is about a 7x2 treated timber. Let's say it's a rafter. You might be wanting to make a compound cut. So we'll bring our saw back round to 45 degrees. We'll say that's our mitre angle. And then we can bevel the saw in order to create a compound mitre bevel cut. You've got a crow's foot at the back, which you just loosen off. And then we're going to say about 30 degrees on our bevel angle. So we'll just tighten that up at the 30-degree mark. So we've got a 45-degree mitre, 30-degree bevel, and that's going to make our compound cut for this rafter. So again, I'll turn the extractor on and I'll make the cut. I'll just show you there, we've got a nice compound cut on our rafter, cut by this battery-powered FlexVolt Mitre Saw. And you could hear the motor, absolutely no problems there cutting through that thick material. But of course, if you wanted to, you could go even larger. As we said, it's up to 305mm on our cut capacity. So you could bring that back round to 0. you could cut something like this landscaping sleeper. Now this is only about 200 by 100, so it's not quite that large cut capacity, but it will give you an idea of what this saw is capable of. So I'm just going to do a straight cross cut with this one, nice and simple, turn the extractor on, and I'm going to cut again. So we're even able to use our saw for cutting through materials like this large landscaping sleeper. I'd just like to show you again the XPS cross-cut positioning system. So I'll place the landscaping sleeper back on the bench, and then you've got a button behind the trigger on the saw, which you can press that and it illuminates the blade. And you can see when you're looking at the material now, where the light is illuminating the blade, you can see exactly where the blade is positioned above the material and exactly where that blade is going to cut. So if you need to cut in an exact place on this sleeper, you'll be able to position that sleeper exactly where your mark is to cut the material, turn the XPS shadow line on, and you'll see exactly where that blade is about to cut. Inside the box, you'll get the DHS780, you'll get 2 XR FlexVolt 6 amp hour batteries and a battery charger. This is available all for £889 during the FFX Winter Tool Show.